Welcome to Pigeon River Farm, doing farming right. I'm Robert Brown, the owner of Pigeon River Farm. Thank you for viewing. Good evening. In tonight's episode, we're going to talk about food inflation. And I'm going to look at it from a perspective of a farmer and what I see kind of on the ground, what's really happening. And what I'm going to refer to right now is the high cost of beef. Beef is really getting out of control as far as cost, as you've seen at the food store. And I'm going to give you a little insight of what we're seeing here. In central Wisconsin, hay prices have gone up. We're in the early part of September, an unusual time for hay prices to go up, and hay prices have gone up significantly. Now you think, well, because there's drought. Well, that's the reason why, but we have no drought here. Actually, we're at 140% of our normal rainfall to date, and I've had a record crop of hay. So in the whole region here, in the center part, now the southern part of Wisconsin into Illinois and the northern part of Wisconsin and Michigan and Minnesota are extremely dry. So even from a regional standpoint, we're involved with a lot of drought, even though locally here we're in good shape. And the reason I want to bring that up is the whole nation is into a drought condition. So hay is not available for cattle operations all the way from the west coast, really reaching into our area now. But locally, we're flush with hay. It may become a record year. If not, it's definitely in the top 10% of hay production. So how does it impact the food supply locally? So I can't speak for nationally, but locally. Well, it's going to push the food supply up. Now, in our particular case here in Pigeon River Farm, we got a unique situation this year. I was able to make enough hay on our own ground, rented ground, to have enough for winter over. So based on the cattle load and our goat load and the amount of hay I need, I should be right on schedule, if not a little bit above. So the high hay costs at the auction that I went to Saturday aren't going to have a direct impact on me unless I want to sell my hay. I wouldn't do that, but the impact is for the people, the local farmers that don't have adequate hay, either because they decided to put their land into corn and beans. And this is one of the things that's happened. So a lot of corn, a lot of things gone into soybean and corn. Now you can use silage, of course, for that kind of operation. For us grass-based farmers, hay is what we have to make it through the winter on. So now what we have is a problem that we have to resolve. For local farmers that have to pay the prices, it doesn't matter. Even though flush with hay around here, prices are still very high. I saw at this auction this last Saturday. Saturday, first hay auction of the year. Big squares were going for around $100 a bale. That's way up from what you'd normally expect. I remember paying $40 and $50. I guess that's the good old days. And small squares for mainly the horse and the small livestock farms, they were going around $5, $4 to $5, $5.50. But bulk was right around $5. That's pretty expensive for this time of the year, since everything is green and flush out there. That would be a different story come January, February. So I'm anticipating that the prices of hay are going to go significantly higher for us. One thing that's happening, I did talk to a number of the sellers there, and the amount of hay that's actually leaving the area. This area, because of the huge amount of cattle production that we have, and both for meat and for dairy, we actually import a fair amount of hay. It's cheaper for the western high plains states, Wyoming, Colorado, often in the Dakotas, where they have irrigated hay, and they ship it this way, and then we use our prime, well-watered soil to produce, unfortunately, corn and beans, where there's a less amount of hay, even though we could optimize the amount of hay that we grow. So this is really turning into a significant problem. And I don't know really a solution to it, but I want to inform the consumer that if there's a time that you were going to buy up grass-fed meat or even locally produced meat, this time has arrived. I don't anticipate the prices going down because of the input cost to the farmers. It is going to be an odd situation. I can never recall a spot where usually the argument is often you buy in hay because it's cheaper than making it yourself. When you figure into land cost, the equipment, labor, everything, you put all that together, and typically it's cheaper to buy it in. I've crossed that bridge many times back and forth. We have decided with our rotational grazing, the load I have of cattle versus the amount of ground that we have, the cattle can't keep up with it. I can get a nice hay cut behind it, helps trim the pasture. And then my rented ground has been very productive also. So in our particular case, like I said earlier, we're doing fine, but I'm seeing a real significant problem. And we know that corn is through the stratosphere as far as cost. Soybean is. Now we're going to have that issue with hay. So I see a runaway inflation in the beef area. And of course, it's showing up in other areas. With our poultry operation, I'm very concerned. I have locked in prices on a number of the ingredients, and I have sourced them locally. But within reason, I still can't get that good a price. I mean, you have to get what you need to get for your product. So we've been able to keep our prices very steady, and I'm planning on doing that moving forward until time. I'm not a price gouger. Maybe not good planning here, but I want to keep our prices fair to our customer. And if my prices move up, then because I want to keep our margin fair and at least help people as we can. Well, that was my insight in what's going on in the food inflation area. I'm sure I'll have more to speak on this matter as time goes forward. I thank you and have a great evening.